So today I gotta go to the library. I have some returns, and then I don't think I have a pickup. I don't want to pick it up anymore, but I have it there possibly waiting for me anyways. I did cancel it, but I don't know if they take it off the shelf or not, so I might go check to see if it's still there. But I'm scared that the things that are overdue are overdue. Like, I'm scared the things that I have to return are overdue. I meant to return them on Saturday and I just forgot them when I was out and about. So yeah, so I gotta do those things. Also, I wanted to go through, I have a bunch of like books that I'm on the fence, and I need to go through them to see if I want to read them or not. So I'm kind of like fixing my TBR. I'm on KU now, so I went on KU a lot to see what's there. I added a lot to my TBR. I've gotten rid of a lot of books over the years, but I still have some that are lingering around. So I kind of want to check it out and see what I want to keep, what I want to get rid of. I have some random books that are like sequels, but I don't have the first book, and so I just want to like get rid of those. I don't want to start a series having to get the first book, you know what I mean? So I'd rather just focus on the books I have, and if I'm in the middle of a series, then focus on that. That's what today's gonna look like. And I also want to build a spooky TBR because I haven't done that yet. And I want to get started on some like seasonal reads for the fall and Halloween. So that's the plan. As you probably could see earlier, I got 2 books. These were each $1. So I couldn't say no. It's funny because I was thinking of continuing in this series, which is the Argento Vampire series by Lindsay Sands. I'm reading this like kind of out of order because they're all standalone, so it doesn't really matter, but I read like the latest release and I like loved it. It was so much fun, and so I'm like, I'll go back to the beginning. And I didn't actually go back to the beginning, or maybe I did, I can't remember, but I tried a quick bite and I didn't like it. I tried it a couple times and I DNF'd it. So I think that is not for me. And also the series is so long, like this, there's like over 30 books, and she started writing this in like the early 2000s or maybe late 2000s. It was just like dated, you know? I didn't really like the things that were happening, and it just read really old. And so I think I would like her newer stuff. And so I kind of decided that I'll still read books in this series, but I might just read them out of order, or I might like go backwards, which is really strange. So I was intending to read the, I don't know what number it is, maybe 33, the book before the book I liked, but instead I picked up this one. So it was there for $1, so I just thought, you know what, I'll just pick this up. And then I have this Julie Ann Long. I don't really know anything about it. After Dark with the Duke. It almost looks Christmassy. I don't know if it actually is. I've read 2 Julie Ann Longs. I really liked one. I think I gave it 4 stars, and then one I like gave 2 stars. And they were in the same series, so we'll have to see. These are like, I don't think they print these anymore. These were the bigger mass markets they tried to release. The thing that's interesting is like the font is probably about the same as it would have been in mass market. They just made it bigger, and I think it was just to up the price. This is still $11.99. I don't know if that's traditional or not, and this is the same bigger size too. But anyways, these were each $2. That was the library like withdrawals. I need to check that more often because $1 a book is so good. And then I just got some books for my kids. They've been liking this author, Philip Cordray. They call them Tunes because I didn't realize this so they read Big Bee Bear, and then this is like the same author and it looks like the same bear. But my son said they were more like short stories, which I thought was interesting. Yeah, like small tunes on each like page. So it's almost like a comic strip. I thought that was interesting. So maybe I should like get Garfield or something like that for them. They might like that. So got some books for them, and I I'm gonna go through those unhauled books that I'm thinking about keeping, but I'm gonna have some lunch first, so let's do that. Okay, so I'm downstairs and this is the bookshelf we're working with. As you can see, I have some boxes. I need to go through those. Those books there, I've read all those. I might get rid of most of them. I might just keep this one because I really liked that one. I did like all of them except for this one. This one I think I gave 3 stars. But all the others I gave like, I think 5 stars. Yeah, I need to go through this. The mass markets are the ones that I really need to get through. And some of that, and then again the boxes. So I think I'm just gonna sit on the floor and go through this stuff. These will just keep. Okay, so if I'm keeping them, I'm just gonna put them back on the bookshelf for now. If I'm getting rid of them, I'm putting them in a box and then I'm donating them. I have some some of these I'm gonna keep. Like, I've read Anne of Green Gables. If it's a random sequel and I don't have the first book, then I'm not gonna keep them unless they read like a standalone. So I'm gonna go through each one. For example, I think this is a sequel, so I'm gonna have to do a lot of searching, but I have like so many just like random mass markets. Okay, so this is a sequel, so I'm getting rid of it. This probably can read as a standalone, so I'll keep it. Jane and Krantz has like a large series, so I need to check hers. This is standalone, so I'm gonna keep it. I think I always want to keep Kathleen E. Widowist, but I think I'll try her again. A lot of the historicals I will keep, and I'll just read them like a standalone, or if I read it and I like it, then I might read the other books in the series, even if it's out of order. So I think that will be my plan. I'm gonna keep this. And I could probably do that with contemporary romances too. It's more like the series stuff. I don't really know what to do. So this is a book 4 in a series, but I think I'll just keep it because it's just like a random contemporary romance. So I'll keep that. I'm keeping Wildwood, keeping all these historicals. I've actually read this, so I do plan to continue in that series. Oh, I need to check this one because this is a series, so I need to look that one up. And then there are none I will keep. I do want to try Agatha Christie. I attempted, but it was just I knew I needed to write down every character's name. This is a random one, but I remember really liking the movie and I thought it would be interesting to read this, so I'm gonna keep that. More historicals. I plan to read this for Christmas, hopefully. This is a sequel, and I think with a mystery series, I know I probably could read them as a standalone. I kind of don't. I kind of want to read them in order, so I'm gonna skip that one. I have 2 random contemporary romances. I think I'll keep them. The Otherworld series, I've been wanting to read this series forever, so I am gonna keep the ones I have. I only have 4, and there's it's a 13-book series, so I will keep these. And then The Fixer, and then I have 1 of the sequels. I'm gonna keep these. I think I started reading this, but then I didn't finish it. I think I liked it though, so I'll keep these. Here's another paranormal romance series that I think can be read standalone, so I'm gonna keep these. And then I have Eternal Hunger and Kiss. This is part of a series, but this is book 1? Yeah, I think this is book 1, so I'm gonna keep these. As you can see, I'm not getting rid of a lot. One of these is book 1 and the other is book 2. I don't know which is which, but I'll keep these because they're historical. Now these Brenda Jackson, I've tried Brenda Jackson quite a few times and it's been mostly misses for me. So I have like some of them, but I think I'm just kind of done. So I'm not gonna try. I have the Black Hearts duology. I think it's kind of like a historical romance. It's supposed to be pirates, but I've heard it's more like a historical romance. So I think I do want to keep those. And then I have The Names They Gave Us. I think I'm willing to try. I'm gonna look at these quickly and see if they're first in a series. I think these ones matter. Oh, this is the first in a series. So One-Eyed Jack's Killing Time, I'll keep that. Oh, this is the first in a series too. So I think this is like a paranormal something. This is a first again. Oh my goodness. Okay, I don't have a lot to get rid of then. So now I'm gonna go through the books or the boxes. Okay, here we go. I think I have things to get rid of. Okay, mostly historicals. I have a random vintage Harlequin. Keep those. This is, again, a mystery series that I would like to read, but this is book something or another. So it's not the first one, so I'm gonna get rid of that. I have read this and I intended to continue, but I never got around to it, so I would want to reread this. I was almost gonna give up on it, but I would have to reread this and then continue. But I'm willing to do that. Monkey Beach, I want that. Robots versus Fairies, I want to keep. I think most of these I want to keep. I have read this and I'm gonna continue. I've already read it. Ooh, Magic Bites. Okay, I have way too many books. I've read this. Have I read this one? Okay, I haven't. I thought I read this, but I haven't. Okay. I need to check this one. I've read these. Oh, I've read this. At least most of it. Ooh. I can't get rid of that. Okay, I've read this. Loved it. I'm keeping all these. I think this is a standalone, but I don't actually know. Yeah, this is a standalone, so I'm gonna keep it. Okay, perfect. Barely getting rid of anything. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this one is a tough one because it's like a Christmas one, but it's in that kind of, so I don't know, the Mary Higgins Clark and Carol Higgins Clark, I'm assuming are like mother and daughter. I don't know. I don't actually know. But I know their series kind of like cross in this one, which is a cool idea. Yeah, it's mother and daughter. That's really cool. And I do want to read these mysteries, but like this is, I don't have the first one, so I'm just gonna get rid of them. This, I just like have zero interest in. I don't know why I have it. Like, I don't care about NASCAR at all, so I'm getting rid of that. Oh, this is a Christmas book. I'm gonna want to hold on to that. I have more historicals here. Okay, I'm keeping all these. Okay, so I have 2 mysteries here. Again, they're probably out of order. Oh, and I need to check this one. Okay, and then this is a random sequel. I need to start with the A book, and this is P, and that makes 0 sense. This is a sequel, so I'm gonna get rid of it. I love these kind of, I really want to try these kind of cozy mysteries where it's like a bookshop, where this is like a crochet mystery, but again, it's like a random sequel, so I don't want to get into that. Again, this is a super cutesy one. I would like it. It's an Alaskan diner mystery series, but it's book 3. That's not what I want. So getting rid of those. Okay. Oh my gosh, I have so many historicals. It's kind of insane. Keeping these. Okay, another random sequel that is not book 1, so I'm getting rid of that. Honestly, okay, I've tried some older Nora Roberts. Like I tried, it wasn't a short story, but it was like kind of like a novella, maybe a little bit longer than that, and I didn't really like it. So I think with Nora Roberts, I want to read maybe like fantasy or more modern, so I'm gonna get rid of it. I think I'm keeping all of these. I have a random Star Trek book that I thought maybe my husband would want, but he doesn't want it, so I'm gonna get rid of that. I do have some random cowboy romances. I'll hold on to those, see if I would like them. Okay. I have some YA books. These two specifically, I don't read a lot of YA contemporary, but I'm willing to try. I don't know. I do want these though. These are like short story vampire. Again, it's like YA, so I don't know. I'm kind of way past. I like YA fantasy, and that's about it. Not even YA paranormal romance or YA urban fantasy. I would rather fantasy. I just don't want to read about teenagers really in our world anymore. I don't know, but I've been like holding on to them for so long. I just got my hands on this for some reason. I think it's a YA fantasy. I don't even know. Random contemporary romance. I'll hold on to it. Now back here. Oh dear. Okay. I'll keep these YA fantasy. I think this is a historical romance. It just so happens to be in a larger paperback. Oh, The Good Neighbors. I did start reading this. Well, I have read this and I liked it okay, and I'm willing to try it again. I've heard this is bad, but I keep holding on to it. So I will. Okay. I have some suspenseful harlequins, cowboy harlequin, historical romance. I'll hold on to those. And then more cowboy romances. I did not need to get those books today. I kind of forgot how many I had, and like I thought I'd be getting rid of way more, but apparently not. Again, I'm holding on to some YA contemporary. I need to check this one out. Okay, here's another Brenna Jackson. I know I don't want her books anymore, so I'm getting rid of that. Okay, so I have some like YA fantasy I'm willing to try. I don't know why, but I kind of want to try Michael Crichton. This is Congo, and it's not rated well. But I don't know, like I don't really read thrillers, but like the stuff that Michael Crichton is the type of thrillers I think I would like, where it's like fantastical almost. So I kind of want to try that, and I would like to read Jurassic Park sometime. More historicals that I'm keeping. Another cowboy romance. And those are the boxes. Okay, so I have these two I want to look up just to make sure that they're not a sequel. Okay, so this is the third book, so I'm gonna get rid of that. Okay, this is a sequel too, so never mind. So that is too many books, but I'm going to, I guess, add those to my TBR. I guess I'm gonna do that. So I finished adding all those books to my TBR. It's too many books. So right now my physical TBR has 153 books, which isn't actually so bad. I thought it was gonna be way worse. So that's okay. So that's how many I have on my physical TBR. On my one to read, I have 276 because I have some books on KU that I would like to read, and I have books on my actual Kindle as well. And then I have some Hoopla books. Those are mostly historical romances that I would like to read. I think it's like exclusively historical romances. So yeah, a lot of books, too many. 276, that's a lot of books. That doesn't even include the sequels. Like, I used to include every single sequel, and I stopped doing that because it just gets way too overwhelming. So the books here, I felt like I wanted to make a spooky TBR. Obviously, I'm not going to get to all these. My plan is to read about 2 books a week. Obviously, if I read more, that'd be great, but I kind of want to take the pressure off of having to read a lot. This is the pile I'm going to be picking from, and also I'm going to be picking up from books on KU. And if I have books on my Kindle, I don't think I do. I think it's mostly romance, but I thought I'd go through these. I'll look through the KU and we can talk about it. And I'm going to be choosing from this stack. I think I'm going to make a TBR jar. I think it'd be fun to like randomly select. I don't read a lot of scary stuff. I read mostly romance, as you probably can tell, and fantasy, but I do have some stuff. And if there's like romance, but it's vampires or witches and stuff like that, I've decided to include it. So Mile High with a vampire. I'm picking this because there's vampires. Again, more vampires in Highland Vampire by Hannah Howell and a couple other authors. This is like a short story collection. These are all like kind of thrillers. They're probably more like mysteries, but I'm gonna assume that they have some thrilling aspects. So we have The Law of Innocence. This is actually like a Lincoln lawyer book, I think, which I am interested in. I do like law dramas and stuff, but it's not the first one, but I think that's okay. And then I have Win by Harlan Coben. Again, another thriller. Hopefully more probably a mystery, but I'm thinking there'll be some thrilling aspects. Same with Bonfire by Kristen Ritter. I have these two because they both have vampires. This is like more like a historical romance. It's YA, but there's vampires. And this is more of a fantasy, adult romance fantasy. Again, vampires. I have 2 Rachel Hawk books. They are shelved as horror. I have a feeling they're not going to be super scary, so that's why I think I'll like them. So I think this is a werewolf. I wouldn't have chosen werewolf like romances because I don't know why, but in my mind, werewolves and fae aren't Halloween, but vampires and witches are. But since this is classified as horror, I'm counting it as a spooky read. And this is like a witchy horror, I guess, by the same author. Belladonna, this is a YA romance, but she falls in love with death. So I thought that fit the theme. Again, more of a contemporary romance, but it's paranormal and she falls in love with a ghost, I think. So, you know, I'm trying to keep... My lines are a little stretched, but I think they count. I'm not gonna read a bunch of like thrillers and horror, but I have some sprinkle of stuff. The Lost Apothecary. I really liked her. The London Seance Society. I actually really liked that. This one, she I think sells poisons to women to help kill their husbands. I don't think it's gonna be scary, but just that concept is kind of spooky-ish. I have this Buffy comic. This is, am I on 4? It's the 4th, I don't know, it's hard to remember like how to, it's not the library edition, it's just like, I forget what kind of edition. It's volume 4, that's what I'll call it, of season 8. So this takes place after the show. It's called season 8 because the last season was season 7. And I've decided to read through season 8 and I'm enjoying it for the most part. It's really interesting. So I'm on volume 4. I actually started it and then didn't finish, so I'm just gonna reread it. Now a couple of these Linda Howards, I think they're supposed to be romances, but based on the synopsis, they sound like more of a thriller. So even though there's going to be romantic elements, I think it leans more like a thriller. So I'm counting that as my spooky reads. This is Vampire Romance. This is the first one, and then this is the second one, I think. So I got that. Sorry, Eternal Hunger and Eternal Kiss by Laura Wright. I'm not really saying the titles, am I? This, I believe, is a thriller, but I think it's gonna be not too scary. So it's called The Whisper Network by Chandler Baker. So these are vampire short stories. So YA short stories. I have Ninth House. I did start this, and based on what I read, I consider this a horror. I'm sure the traditional horror readers would not think that scary, but what I read, I thought it was scary, and it read really dark, so I wasn't in the right headspace. I think now that I know how dark it is, and not even just like by it being scary, it's just the tone is kind of depressing. I have Ordinary Monsters by J.M. Marrow. This, I think, is more of a historical fantasy, but it is also shelved under horror, I believe. So I'm gonna count it. It does give me kind of spooky fall vibes anyways, so I'm counting that. I have these 3 vampire romances by Carolyn Sparks. I think this is Love at Stakes. I think that's the series. I think they all read like standalones, but I'm gonna include those. I have Congo by Michael, is it Crichton? I think so. He writes thrillers, but more like disaster thrillers, which is kind of more my thing. So I don't know, we'll see. And then There Were None. Now I don't know if you would call Agatha Christie a thriller. I would consider her more of a mystery, but I'm gonna include it because I think I am gonna include some mysteries. I'm gonna create a whole new shelf on my Goodreads called Spooky Season. Can you see that? There we go. I will add these in a minute, but as I go through the KU, I will add these to the shelf, the ones that I would consider to be spooky. So I have The Bookshop Murder by Maren Allingham. The mystery series, I'm gonna include it. I really want to start cozy mysteries. It doesn't look too cutesy. I think if it's too cutesy, I may not be able to add it. Okay, so I have Storm and Fury by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I believe this is YA. Our main character can see ghosts and communicate with spirits. I would say that is a spooky element. And then there's gargoyles. I wouldn't consider gargoyles. At least I think there's gargoyles. I don't know. And they protect them from demons. So I'm going to count that as a spooky read. So there's going to be a lot of books on here. Whisper of Death. Sounds very spooky. Even the cover looks pretty spooky. And let's take a look quickly because I think she mostly writes, Harlequin romance. Not Harlequin, sorry. She mostly writes historical romance. So I'm willing to give her books a try, but okay, Spookily Yours by Jennifer Chipman. It's a romance, but I think she is a witch, so that sounds super cute. Okay, there's Murder by the Book, and I want to read it. So I'm gonna add it, even though the cover is kind of cutesy, has the word murder in it. Shouldn't that count? And then we have Moonlight and Mischief, which is another mystery, but I think it's kind of paranormal. So I'm gonna put that. By Molly Fitz and Trixie Silvertail. It just looks super cute. One Dark Window. I don't know if One Dark Window would count as spooky, but she has like a spirit in her head. And so in my mind, that kind of sounds spooky. Okay, The Modern Girl's Guide to Magic by Lindsay Hall. Another probably romance, but with a witch or something. Okay, so Throne of the Fallen, only because they're like demons. So I'm gonna count that. I kind of liked, I think, Izzy Envy. I did like him as a character. I did read that trilogy. I really loved it in the beginning, and then I thought it kind of went downhill, but I'm willing to keep reading by Carrie Maniscalco. I think I would like a lot of her books. Okay, so the only like real thriller I have is The Housemaid. I'm willing to try Frida McFadden to see if I would like thrillers. I don't know if I would, but I think I'm more of a mystery girl than like a thriller girl. And I like detective stories. That's kind of more my thing, or like a sleuth or something. I don't know if I want to read like domestic thrillers or anything like that. It just doesn't seem like the type of thing I would enjoy. Okay, I have Queen of Myth and Monsters, only because it's about vampires. Honestly, I can't really remember the first book very well, but I do remember that they're together, so I don't know if I remember. I think I could just read it though. Okay, so we have Bewitched by Laura Thalassa. I feel like I've seen a lot of these. I've seen this author before. I don't know what else she writes. Oh, the Four Horsemen series. Okay, that's how I recognize her name. I haven't read from her before, but this is about witches, so I'm counting that. I won't read. I do have the Four Horsemen series on my TBR too, but I'm not going to count it because it's more about gods. So I have those on Keigu, and then Kindle. Let's check Kindle quickly. I don't think I'm gonna have any. Okay, I'm going to add all these to my spooky TBR, and then I will tell you how many books I have, and then I'm gonna, I think, make a TBR jar. That'd be fun. I'm gonna make my TBR. I have 39 books. I almost wish I had one more just so it would be 40, but I'm gonna make it, and then we're gonna pick selection. I kind of want to do this before my kids get home, so I'm gonna do that quickly, hopefully right now. What I should tell you is I did add Full Moon by Jim Butcher. I don't think it's on KU, which is why I didn't see it when I was going through the list, but when I was adding the physical books onto that shelf on Goodreads, I noticed that I didn't include it on that shelf yet. So I've added to the TBR. It could be a possibility. Let's pick something now. So there's 39 books in here. Let's see what I'm gonna read. This, I think it's upside down. The Law of Innocence. Okay, I'm gonna read that book. The Lincoln Lawyer book. Okay. Let's see what it says. On the night he celebrates a big win, defense attorney Mike Haller is pulled over by police, who find the body of a former client in the trunk of his Lincoln. So this is the Lincoln Lawyer. I think the idea is he works out of his car. I don't know. Anyways, Haller is immediately charged with murder, and he can't post the exorbitant $5 million bail slapped on him by vindictive judge. Mickey elects to represent himself and is forced to mount his defense from his jail cell in the Twin Towers Correctional Facility in downtown LA. All the while, he needs to look over his shoulder As an officer of the court, he is an instant target and he makes few friends when he reveals a corrupt plot within the jail. Okay, so that is the plot. I've never read anything by Michael Connelly, and if I don't like this, I'll just watch the show. So we'll see how it goes. This is like 420 pages. It's quite long. So let's get started with this. I don't know if you would call this a thriller though. It says Lincoln lawyer Mickey Haller is back in the heart-stopping new thriller. So I'm counting this as a thriller, even though it's probably more of a courtroom thriller. But I like courtroom drama, so I'm gonna start this. Organized my shelves. I had that table in front of the bottom shelf for a long time. Okay, so I kind of mixed up the fantasy stuff because I put all the spooky season here. So I just split them up. I just thought, okay, well, whatever. So that's fantasy, YA, and that's mostly YA. Maybe I'll just put all the YA up there. I don't know. That's spooky season. That is, oh, I mixed it up still. I was hoping to just do adult. This is YA, so this needs to go over here. But adult romance, YA romance, I have Harry Potter there. It shouldn't be over here, but it is. And then that's fantasy, some YA in there, but mostly there's adult stuff. That is a double stack of historical romance, which is insane. That stack there is historical, but it's like the bigger paperback or hardcover, so I just put them there with these. I guess these are adult romances too, but in my mind they're just like older, and they're mostly cowboy or harlequins, so I consider those different from those ones. I guess they're different because they're mass markets. So those are the paperback or hardcover, and those are the mass markets. So that's it for now. I'm gonna have to get started reading this. I just wanted to get started fixing my bookshelf. It needed to be done, and I only have a few books downstairs. It's mostly just like classics, and I don't really know where they're gonna go. They may just live downstairs, I don't know. But my to read is quite full. So it's the next day. I started this last night. I got about 45 pages in. And I like it. I do. It definitely reads like episodic. Like I felt like I didn't really need to know anything about this character before starting the story. And I don't even know the guy's name on it. Oh, Mickey Haller is the main character, and I guess he's the Lincoln lawyer. I don't know what the connection is, except that I think he has a car that's Lincoln. And I used to think the concept was like he worked out of his car. I don't know if that's true or not. It's not really explained. But this story is specifically, he's framed for a murder. So after like celebrating a win, he gets pulled over just like randomly, and it's like kind of unfair. Like the police officer like didn't give a reason why he pulled him over, but he did. And he like ended up handcuffing him, and he noticed like blood dripping out of the trunk of the car, or dripping like down the bumper or something like that. Mickey, I guess his name, is like in the back of the police car, and the police officer opens the trunk and there's a dead body in there. And so then we like jump like over a month later, where he's like in prison and he's working on his case. So he's going to defend himself because he's a lawyer and he's working with his team. And it's kind of that. And it's a bit of a challenging read because I don't know a ton about law, and you kind of have to like know the jargon. So I've been like looking up terms and trying to understand what it is. It's like dumbed down a little, but at the same time not. So you kind of have to like understand law. It's easier, I find, to like watch a law show because you kind of get an understanding based on what's happening in the scene. You don't actually, I feel like you don't have to know all the language, because I don't know, that's how I feel. It's easier to pick up, where here it's like, I don't know, it's a little bit challenging because I don't know everything. So I'm looking up terms and trying to understand what's going on. So it was a bit of a slow start, and I think it will be kind of a slow read because like it is basically a law drama. Like it's a courtroom drama. It's them figuring out what to do with the case, what the next motion should be, and it's kind of interesting because you kind of get to learn and understand how law works a little bit. Now, I like law dramas, and you kind of have to, because it is like, that is all it is. He is a bit like in the prison, and he's paying a guy to keep him safe in prison, and then he looked at someone else's case while he was there. But like basically he's working with his team, and since he's in prison, you get to see kind of like how that works. You know, since he's doing the case himself, he gets to have special treatment. So he gets to meet in the room with his team every day, is getting the privilege to like not dress in his scrubs. He gets to like dress up when he's actually in court. But again, he had to like have emotion, and I'm like learning about these things. I think that's the word they use, where it's like asking certain things to be allowed and not allowed when it comes to a case. And you have to, I think for the most part, always bring it towards a judge or something like that. It's really interesting. I don't know. So it's a bit of a challenging read, like I said, because of all the language and jargon, and I'm like learning as I go. But I do like, there's this mystery of like who's framing him. And the guy who died, you learn, was a previous client of his. Not a good guy, but he did represent him. And so, yeah, it's interesting. So far, I don't feel like I feel like I don't know these characters at all. Like, you get to know a little bit about Mickey, but like not a lot. And so I feel like the focus is more on the case than character development or anything like that. But I'm picking up that he's a bit vain. Like, he likes dressing well and looking his best and doing well in court and stuff. So far I'm liking it. I have stuff to do. I need to make some phone calls. I was hoping to clean a bit, but the phone calls are kind of like the things I have to do today. So I feel like I need to read more than 100 pages today if I want to read this in a few days, but it depends on how much stuff I get done. So we'll see how today goes. So I think I'm doing pretty good. I am on page 287. I'm more than halfway. I'm obsessed. I'm like really enjoying it. It's so good. It is not a thriller. So I feel kind of bad that I put on my spooky TBR because it's not a thriller. It's thrilling in the sense of like, it's a lot of fun and engaging and things like that, but it is not a thriller. It's not, there's no scares or anything like that. And this wouldn't be for everyone because it is clearly, like, it is specifically a court drama. Like, that's all it is. It's all about this guy trying to figure out how to build a case to defend himself while he's like in and out of prison, and working with his team and trying to find the evidence he needs to prove that he is not guilty. So super interesting. I've never read anything like this before, and I'm like obsessed. I love it. I'm like taking my time because it's like you have to think a lot while reading this to understand what the heck is going on, but it's really fun to see them put all the pieces together and outsmart the prosecution, and seeing what the prosecution is doing to kind of prevent them from winning or trying to stall them and things like that. So I find it really riveting, and I'm really excited because I do want to read more like courtroom dramas like this, and so I will definitely be reading the rest of this series. Once I'm done this, I'm not going to add any more of the Lincoln Lawyer series on my spooky TBR because it is not a thriller. You can like say it kind of is, because it is kind of scary to be convicted of a crime that you didn't do and trying to figure out how to get yourself out of it, and you know, being in prison, like he was attacked, which is scary, and you kind of like wondering like, is this the prosecution like working with the system in order to try to stall like his case and things like that. So it's just been really interesting. I feel like I'm learning a lot. I don't know much about law, but I do enjoy watching the law shows, but I feel like I'm learning way more like reading it and like learning all the terms and understanding how the process actually works. So I'll definitely read more in the Lincoln Lawyer series at some point. I was looking at his other books, not all of them. I need to check what else Michael Connelly has written, but the Lincoln Lawyer series is part of the Harry Bosch, is that how you say his name? I don't actually know, who's like a cop. And so I guess the Harry Bosch series, if I'm mispronouncing that, I'm very sorry, but it's like an ongoing long series, and he's actually in here, so like it makes sense. He's like the half brother of Mickey Hillary, is that his name? I forget. Mickey's his first name. I forget what his last name is. Hillier, I think. Mickey Hillier. Anyways, they're like half brothers, so that's how they're connected. I was looking at the first book in the Harry Bosch series, and I don't think it's something I would necessarily want to read. I don't know if I want to read about cops solving a crime. I would enjoy like a detective, but I don't know necessarily like a cop. So I don't know, but this is interesting. It kind of opens the door to other stories that I can explore. I've never really read a court drama before, but I know I like it. It's a lot of fun, at least for me. Some people would think it's boring because it's just literally them trying to figure out how to solve this case, and that's all they talk about. There's nothing else going on, really. There's some like personal drama, but not really. Like, it's not even the forefront. It's just like the personal stuff just kind of happens around him. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. So I'm gonna read a little bit more, and then I have some like cleaning to do today. So I'm trying to think how much more I should read. I don't know. I'll read a little bit more and then get to actually doing some work. Last night I finished this. I stayed up pretty late. Not super late, like 11:30. But I had so much fun reading this. Oh my goodness, I was so engaged. It was a bit of a surprise because I don't know, I didn't think this won't be for everyone, and I feel bad saying that. It's for a lot of people for sure, but like you have to like courtroom dramas to enjoy this, because it is like pretty much sitting around talking, trying to figure out and solve this case or figure out a way to get a non-guilty verdict. So I don't know, but I just really enjoyed it. So I guess it makes sense because I do like law dramas and stuff like that. So I'm excited that there's more books in this series, and it was kind of cool that I didn't have to read it in order. I will go back and begin in the beginning of the series. I'll start with book 1, but I definitely recommend. I think I'm giving it 5 stars. Like, I just was thoroughly entertained. I felt like it really engaged my brain too, because I had to do a lot of learning and understanding of how the court system actually works and what all the terminologies are. So I think maybe that was part of it too, is I really enjoy politics and scheming and coming up, like solving problems, and this had a lot of that. COVID is in here, but it's like it ends when COVID kind of begins. So it's like it's walking towards the beginning of lockdowns in 2020, which I just thought was so interesting. So we see glimpses of the virus coming towards the US, I guess. Like there's talk about the virus happening in China, and you know, he mentions seeing people with masks and stuff. And I just thought it was so interesting the way it ended is when the lockdowns begin. So if you don't like reading about COVID, you may not want to read this. It's not like on the forefront or anything. I just thought it was an interesting choice to do that. This does come out in 2020, and I tried looking at Goodreads. It didn't say which, the Goodreads had it wrong. It said it came out in 1998, and that's not right. This came out in 2020. It says so here. I don't know when. I was really hoping to have like an author's note about him writing about COVID in here, but he doesn't. So there isn't much information about that, of why he decided to do that. Maybe just because he wrote this probably during lockdown and it was kind of relatable to him. What else did I want to say? The ending was like a little bit like unsatisfactory, but it made sense based on what was happening for the case, or the certain types of reveals. I'm like fine with the ending, but I was kind of like, oh, okay, that's a different way to wrap things up. And this is not a thriller at all, not at all. There's nothing really scary that happens in here. It is all like a bunch of meetings talking about how they're